So do you want to call roll and we can get started and then read the affirmation, go from there?
Sure, sounds great. Oh, there's Matt. Hi, Matt. Is Marcy? Do not see Marcy. We have Sarah Merrick, Scott, Margaret, Tammy Bowers. We have Sarah Duckwell. There she is. Ryan Hearn. I do not see John McKenzie. And we have Patrick. Good morning. Okay.
Hey, Terry, it's Andrew. I'm here too.
Hi, Andrew. Sorry. Thank you, Andrew.
All righty. So before we move in to the kind of full agenda and minutes and all that, I wanted to take a moment, as we always do. And I want to say that I want to thank everyone for their time, effort, and participation in our work before us today. I want to recognize it's very difficult and important work, and I and everybody else appreciates and values the perspectives and professionalism that everyone brings here today. Thank you. So I see first up, we have public comment. And I know we had talked a little bit, the co-chairs in the meeting, about kind of allocating some public comment time at the beginning of most meetings or sometime during all of our meetings to kind of provide a space for comment and issues to be brought up, especially as we're discussing, the process of kind of how stakeholders can engage with MLAC and bring bills and concepts and other things as well. So I just, we wanted to hold open the space for a little bit to see if there were any public comment or any folks that had things that they wanted to bring forth. I'm not seeing any hands raised. I can see almost everybody on the owl in the office there. Are you seeing anything, Terry? Anybody with a burning need to share? No? Okay, so I see next up on the agenda is reviewing and approving minutes from June 8th and July 6th, and then a bit of a discussion about the meeting minutes.
Yes.
I move we approve both as presented.
Okay, I have a motion to approve both as presented.
I second the motion.
And a second. Any discussion on those 2 minutes or sets of minutes?
Thank you for the revisions, Terry. I like them.
Thank you, Tammy.
Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And any abstaining? No? Okay. And I know we'd also flagged kind of discussing meeting minutes generally. I know there were some questions floating around. I believe all of those have been answered for the most part. Was there anything folks wanted to mention about the minutes process or any of
I
that?
prefer a summary process, just, in general, when I see minutes. I don't need transcript versions.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I know I really like having the time identified for when the different topics are brought up, but again, I don't need the a transcript format of that, even just kind of basic issues, so I can look back on those things.
Scott, I agree. I like the timestamp because then if there's something that I want to review further, I can access it that way. And just the general basic consensus of what happened during that time frame is ample for me to go back.
I just want to add that Senate Bill 11 will require, we already put the audio on is already published, but starting January 1, we'll be putting the video as well, will be published because of Senate Bill 11. So just want to let people know that. So there's always audio available and video will be available January 1st. So thank you for the feedback. That's very helpful. And Baba helps immensely with these minutes. She does a fabulous job. So I just want to say thank you to Baba as well.
Yes, I know. I repeat thanks to staff. I take minutes sometimes for negotiations, and it is not a fun task. So, and I do see John McKenzie looks like he's joined us as well. And Patrick has a question or
Well,
comment.
yeah, more of a comment. I just wanted to say that you know, Scott and I as co-chairs talked with Terry and fully supported the summary version and brought it forward. And so Sarah, thank you for speaking in support of that. I know that more than just the caucus used the minutes. And so I in this public forum, maybe just open it up to anyone that maybe says, no, I really want a transcript. I hope not. My fingers are crossed, but
Happy to do that. I see we have 40 or so participants, it looks like, online, not counting however many folks may be in the room together. Is there any deep concern from the public or stakeholders of switching to a more summary?
Co-Chair Strickland, I just have wanted to, as an additional FYI,
Sure.
just as a reminder to people. So MLAC, the current format that we have that MLAC has for having minutes or the minutes and that are adopted and the audio recording, then soon to be video recording, it's for the past 3 years, but MLAC under statute has a 20+ year records retention. So audio files, formal exhibits, etc. Those are available through Terry and Baba as well. So it's just a reminder. We'll talk about that, the extended public records timeframe, but I wanted to bring that up since it's appropriate to do so now.
So I have 20 years to look back at the video of all of the great cars that John puts in his background.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Well, I don't know about the I was saying yes, which is always a plus for me. And then actually on top of that, we actually have some historical documents. So for example, technically the Mahoney Hall, the original report that has been uploaded to the MLAC website, that technically could be destroyed, but we choose to keep that because it is a historical document. And we do have some documents of that nature within the WCD files or the director's office MLAC files as well.
Great. Thank you for that. I think that's helpful to know. Any other stakeholder questions, comments, or anything from members on that topic? Not seeing any. I see we have department updates up next.
Yes, we do. So I would just like to introduce the Workers' Compensation Board. It would be are you the lead attorney? Managing attorney, sorry. Lauren and Jenny are here, so I'm gonna hand it over to them, okay? Go ahead.
Thanks, Terry.
Sounds great.
Good morning, everyone. For those of you that have not met me, my name is Lauren Eldridge. I've been a staff attorney with the board since 2016 and a senior staff attorney since 2018. As of August 1st, I've taken on a job rotation as interim managing attorney for a 1-year period. Acting Chair Jenny Ogawa and I wanted to come today to introduce ourselves to you and tell you that we're really excited to work with you, and please reach out to us if you have any questions or if there's anything that the board can be of assistance with. We don't have any specific case updates today, but I'll let Jenny take over.
Good morning. Again, my name is Jenny Ogawa. I have been in the workers' comp system since late 1980s. So some of the names I see on the screen, I do know. So hello to those that I do know. I've been in private practice representing employers, insurers. Been a staff attorney with the board. Worked for a few years with the workers' comp division. Was a workers' comp administrative law judge for 17 years. Board member for about a year, and then just last month as interim chair. So, hello, everyone.
Thank you. I'm just gonna give a quick update. Fred Bruins, who was our rural coordinator, retired at the end of July. And so we have a new rural coordinator. Her name is Marie Loiseau. Marie, did I say that correct? Her name is French, and I really didn't want to mess that up. Is that correct, Marie?
Marie Loasso, yes.
Awesome. Okay, all right. So Marie is our new rules coordinator, and she started the beginning of August. So we're excited to have her here. And then I'm just going to give a quick rules update. We are working on the rules from House Bill 3412. We're working on rules for House Bill 2696. We're also working on House Bill 4138 from the 2022 session. And we're working on our temp rules that update billing codes and standards. That's an annual temp rule that we work on. So those rules will go into effect January 1st. I also just want to add that Senate Bill 418, which goes into effect January 1st, we will be working on that, but that is not, we're not going to start on that in January 1st. That is later in the rulemaking cycle. So are there any questions?
I think
Okay.
quick congratulations to Fred. I know I always was bombarded with very helpful emails around rulemaking time from him. So I look forward to seeing the same from you as well, Marie, and welcome and congratulations to you as well.
Okay, so now we're gonna move on to Angela with DCBS Comms, and she is gonna share her storyboard for our exciting MLAC video.
Is someone going to share the document? Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you, Baba.
So I understand that MLAC has requested a video to go over some requests from people for proposals. Communications has developed a suggested script, and we will review the storyboard for you all and get
It's
your
the first
feedback.
time I flipped down my camera thing and there is a googly eye. That was a long term. That cracked me up. I
was
just put it down.
real pervasive about where I was taking.
That was so funny.
And if folks can remember to
I'm
mute
leaving them all
themselves
alone.
if you're not actually talking, that would be nice.
We good? Okay, thank you. Can that, Terry, can you remove that
Oh,
they're
sorry.
reviewing that, so, thank you, thank you. So we have, an opening screen that will just say the logo, and we'll have the title, How to Present Proposals to the Management Labor Advisory Committee. Scene 2 will be an introduction. We will have a narrator say, the Management Labor Advisory Committee, or MLAC, is a place for business and labor to meet to discuss, explore, and resolve issues with the workers' compensation system. I understand this design is supposed to be like a whiteboard scene, so the idea is to have a hand draw scenes across the screen, and then we'll have images erased to represent what is the narrator is saying. So at this point, we'll have like an image being drawn of board members, a committee meeting, and then we'll erase the scene. And as the narrator says, as MLAC members, we give advice and make recommendations to the governor and legislature about proposals affecting workers' compensation to Oregon. And the next scene would be showing the Oregon state seal. Scene 3, narrator says, as a committee, we are guided by the values of balance, fairness, adequacy, affordability, efficiency, stability, and flexibility. So we're highlighting the MLAC values here so that the viewer will understand what MLAC is focused on. We will erase those. Well, actually, we have the narrator say, together they form the lens through which we evaluate all proposals. You can read more about our values on the MLAC webpage. And then the hand draws a border around the words to clearly form a magnifying glass before a hand with an eraser wipes the board clean again. Scene 4. The narrator says, if you have a proposal you want the committee to consider, please give us as much advance notice as you can, as early in the legislative session as possible. The hand reappears to draw an image representing a proposal. So I've got here a sketch of a document to represent that proposal. And then we will have the hand draws an arrow pointing to an image on the right side of the screen to represent the committee. Could be the same image of the people sitting around a table. So what we saw in scene 2 or simply the letters in MLAC. So we're still considering how that scene will move. The narrator says, your proposal should be well developed and have been discussed with the different parties it affects before you come to us. The hand draws a thought bubble depicting a meeting where someone is making a presentation before a group of people. As the narrator finishes talking, a hand with an eraser wipes the scene. So then we are at scene 5. Narrator says, individual proposals may generate specific questions, but in generally, the committee wants to know 6 things when you present your proposal. As the narrator begins speaking, the hand reappears to write what MLAC wants to know at the top of the screen. Then the narrator says, number 1, the committee needs to know what is the problem you are trying to solve. Tell us why this is an issue, what caused it, and how many workers it affects. So then we have the sketch of images and or words representing the concepts of a problem needing to be solved, it causes, and numbers of affected workers. After the narrator stops speaking, the hand will erase the whiteboard clean to end the scene. The next scene is number 2. Has this issue ever been addressed in the past? If yes, tell us what was done and why you think this issue persists. As the narrator begins speaking again, the hand reappears to write a number 2 and then sketches images and or words representing past attempts at addressing an issue. After the narrator stops speaking, the hand with the eraser wipes the whiteboard clean to end the scene. The next scene, what MLAC wants to know, part 3, says narrator, it says number 3, we need to know what your proposal does. What are the fiscal effects on the affected parties, such as workers, employers, insurers, medical providers, or the workers' compensation division? Do you have an idea how many claims may be involved or what laws may be affected by your proposal? As the narrator begins speaking, the hand reappears to write a large number 3 and then sketches images and words representing the concepts of multiple affected parties, workers, employers, insurers, medical providers, WCD, claims, and laws. After the narrator stops speaking, the hand with the eraser wipes everything off the board except for the number 3. The narrator says, you will need to work with the workers' compensation division to get a potential system cost for your proposal before you present to MLAC. As the narrator begins speaking again, the hand reappears to draw the WCD logo and the words potential system costs. After the narrator stops speaking, the hand with the eraser wipes the whiteboard clean to end the scene. Then we are at what MLAC wants to know, part 4. The narrator says, number 4, how does your proposal connect with the committee's values? Does it fairly meet the needs of both workers and employers? Is it stable enough to encourage consistency and efficiency, yet flexible enough to change when necessary? As the narrator begins speaking again, the hand reappears to write a large number 4 and then sketches images and or words representing the committee's values. After the narrator stops speaking, the hand with their eraser wipes the whiteboard clean to end the scene. Then we move to what MLAC wants to know, part 5. Narrator says, number 5, what data supports the effects of your proposal? What data is or is not available? Is there anything preventing you from getting this information? Can MLAC support a change without this information? As the narrator begins speaking, the hand reappears to write a large number 5 and then sketches images and or words representing data and the other questions raised in the narration. After the narrator stops speaking, the hand with the eraser wipes the whiteboard clean to end the scene. We are at what MLAC wants to know, part 6. Narrator says, and finally, number 6, have you reached out to stakeholders and affected parties, and do they support your proposal? Do you have any feedback from the Ombuds Office for Oregon Workers or the Office of the Small Business Ombudsman for Workers' Compensation? As the narrator begins speaking, the hand reappears to write a large number 6 and then sketches images and or words representing stakeholders and the Ombuds offices. After the narrator stops speaking, the hand with the eraser wipes the whiteboard clean. And then we have our closing scene with contact information for Terry and MLAC. It says, the narrator says, so how do you get your proposal before MLAC? Contact the committee administrator, Terry Watson, at her address and then her phone number. Then we finally say the committee meets once every 2 weeks during legislative sessions and once a month in the interim. For more information about MLAC, visit our website. So this is our proposed storyboard for that video.
So thank you very much for the presentation. I see hands going up. I see Sarah Duckwall first, and then I see Tammy.
Thank you, Scott. I love it. Thank you so much for putting this work together. It's nice to see a presentation, in visual format, so we know what we're looking at. A couple questions are, do we know what the length would be?
Aiming for 3 minutes.
3-minute
It
length?
shouldn't be longer than that. People will not view a video longer than 3 minutes.
Yep, agreed. And then is there any opportunity to do it in other languages, or how would that be translated in that way if there's?
We could do it in other languages. I recommend that we finalize the English script first. And then once the script has been approved by MLAC, we can develop the video itself, make the English version. And then when you've settled on that video, when you've approved the final video itself, the file, then we can go into the translation process. I guess it would be more of your decision on which languages you would like. I'm assuming Spanish would be a guarantee, but what other languages on your list would you like? We can definitely get them translated at that point.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you, Sarah. I see Tammy, and then I see Margaret.
I thank you very much. I think this is excellent too. My only question or suggestion or concern, whatever, is on screen 4. On screen 4, when it says to, please give us as much advance notice as you can, as early in the legislative session as possible. And I'm wondering if we should put maybe in the fall before the legislative session, if possible, to introduce it even before the legislative session begin. We had some discussions about that. I don't know if other people want that, but I would suggest it. Thank you.
That's a good point. I know a lot of things are pre-session filed, and so folks may have a heads up before, so they would be able to bring it to us before potentially. I see Margaret's hand.
Scott, I was curious as to whether this is a substantive discussion or a discussion substantively about what's in there, or just like the idea about it. For example, there's in one screen, it says in generally, where I'm sure, if we all edited it, it would be in general. But also I have some concerns about calling these requirements based on my memory of our discussion before, where we talked about this is what we would really like, but recognizing that there are some groups that are not going to be able to have the resources to check off all the boxes of these as being requirements. I'm wondering if you understand what I'm trying to say, Scott.
Yeah, I think kind of my understanding of the first part of the question, is it substantive or sort of grammar correction? I think all of that's sort of on the table. And I figure we're not going to make a decision today on that, so that gives some time for this to percolate and for folks to kind of reread it and have stakeholder engagement on it as well. Secondarily, I do think I do remember kind of a little of the concern of the phrasing of whether it's a need or requirement or just what MLAC is looking for.
Right.
Or sort of will kind of help your case. And I was thinking about that issue, I think in, what was it, slide 9, where it says, what MLAC wants to know, what data supports the effects of your proposal, what data is or is not available. Is there anything preventing you from getting the information? I like that. And I think that idea of the data may not exist yet because we're not tracking it, or, DCBS may not have access to it or whatnot. I wonder if there's a way that we could rework some of that to make it understood that, yes, these are things that we look for, but it's not a checklist that must be accomplished before you even consider coming to us. It's just this is how we engage in the process. And if we don't have any of this information, it's going to make it difficult.
Right. I think that if I can piggyback on that, I had another concern about WCD, that you must have the cost information. I did like that the slide said that you would have to work with WCD to get that, but it seems like making WCD's response to the party a predicate before the party can come to MLAC without having any sort of, I don't know if there are any rules that require WCD to respond to these within a certain amount of time. And it seems to me that would be hard to do, because I'm sure that there are some WCD requests that are very easy and some that are more complicated. So to emphasize that we'd like people to make an effort to get these costs, but as a requirement, it seems pretty stringent to me.
Okay. Thank you, Margaret. I see Tammy's hand.
Just kind of piggybacking on what Margaret said there, we're asking them to come to us as soon as possible with their ideas. And so it would probably be difficult to have every single thing. So do we want them to wait until the last minute to have everything, or to come to us sooner? And I know that I like what Margaret said about, they will work with WCD to get that information, but I agree, we don't want them to have to feel like they have to have it before they come. And so if it's a word of must and we want to just change, just tweak, do some wordsmithing, I think that maybe would encourage them to bring them sooner rather than later.
I think that's a great point. I wonder if we could kind of in this frame or slide or scene that discusses what sort of when to bring the issues, if we could portray the rest of it perhaps as we will be asking where you're at on the process on all of these, so that we want to hear as soon as we can, and then you can give us updates as you move through it. and have more information perhaps, but I see Margaret's hand again.
I didn't mean to interrupt, Scott. Please continue.
No, that's about it. It just throwing that out there as a possibility of a way to um, frame kind of the second half of the video, perhaps.
Scott, I did want to say that to WCD that I really thought that the concept, the hand drawing and the erasing, that it's really very engaging and accessible. And I really enjoyed that. And I can see people once they click on the link watching the whole thing. And I wanted to say thank you for that.
Can I just add something to this, Angela, and maybe you can clarify? So my understanding is once the video is done, it will have its own website. And it will be once you approve the legislative guidelines, will be with that, along with links to how to write a bill, the legislative website where you can find different information about that. So it won't just be a video, period. There will be other links to it to help people with the legislative process. And my understanding is that if something comes in late, MLAC still has to review it, even if nothing has been done. So I think we're trying to provide as much assistance as possible with the legislative process so that MLAC has time to review everything that they can with as much assistance as possible.
Yeah, and just to add to that, Terry, just think of this video as your basic level of information. And then, yes, you're right, there will be a supporting web page with all this more detailed content, so you can flesh it out a little bit more. But you just want to give your viewer a little more information real quick in the video, and then you can go into detail on the web page itself. So anything that doesn't get covered in the video won't be lost. It will be added elsewhere. You're trying to get initial information across to somebody at the highest level possible, and then you can get more detail in the web page itself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think that's some very helpful framing for how I think about it as well. And I do want to echo Margaret's comments. This is, I think, an engaging concept of having everything drawn out and whatnot. So I see Sarah's hand.
Thank you, Scott. I just wanted to also say that, hopefully this is a tool for Terry when people bring information or, ask of information from her, now that there's going to be a landing spot for them to go. And so she doesn't have to replicate the same conversation over and over again. And I know, we got a lot of information late last year, and it's really hard to analyze and get all that information done and be able to make an informed decision. So I think moving forward with this process is going to be a helpful tool for everybody. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, excellent. Patrick?
So I just want to echo that I think it's a really great draft and almost done. And I was very impressed, when I looked through it. I think just some of the language needs to be tightened. I agree. I respect Margaret's comments that it's not a requirement, that it's, I don't know, guideline is the right word, or just the things that we're looking for as a caucus. It's more about what we're looking for rather than what the law requires and what words you use for that. And then I don't know if I don't have the slides in front of me right now, but I did want to ask about, it seems like we refer to business, but it could be employers, because not all of our workers' comp management side employers are business. There are, self-insured governments and nonprofits and in different kinds of organizations. And so that's maybe just, again, tightening up the language a little bit and just give that feedback.
I see, Patrick, I have them in front of me, and I see a lot of places where it says employers.
Great, thanks.
And I see Tammy.
I think what Patrick, oh, am I unmuted? Yes, okay. I think what Patrick is referring to is screen 2. One of the stakeholders said maybe put employers and workers instead of businesses, since there are nonprofits and there are also government employers. So that would just make it more inclusive with that screen 2.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I know we have a pretty broad set of lobbying folks and others, so we want to make sure that they all feel included. I see Ryan's hand.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I'd be remiss if I didn't say anything. When I opened this up, I was very impressed with the work you guys put into this. And I'm excited to see it come together. So thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Do we see any other questions from folks? I guess a quick one that just popped into my head too, seeing this looks great. I really appreciate it. Will the production of this, is this all done in-house? Is there any impact of the SAG-AFTRA strike in action there, or is this all
That's funny.
the SEIU comms folks doing this in-house?
This is all in-house and we are not a part of that, but we are union, different union. It's all good.
Good to hear.
So I guess the next thing would be approving the scripts, making sure that you're comfortable with the imagery, and then once you've approved those elements, I can make a rough draft of the actual video and go through a review process for that. And as soon as you have approved the video, then we can finalize that. So there'll be a few more steps, but we're getting closer to getting this project launched.
Great. Yeah, I think that sounds great. And looking from us and timelines and all of that, I feel like there's some thinking and some wordsmithing that folks could do on the script. So for actions and kind of moving forward, would it be okay to kind of finalize all of this in the interim between the next this meeting and the next meeting? I think the next meeting is only a few weeks away. I don't know how folks feel about that, if that'll give everyone time to chime in and build stakeholder consensus on issues as well, or if we want to do something in the interim, or how that would work. I see Sarah.
Are you asking for us to provide feedback on script and get it back individually? Is that what you're asking?
Yes, or through our caucuses, whichever works.
Okay, so we can go through Patrick with our recommendations for script changes. And then I'd love at the next meeting to see a final script that we could possibly approve. That would be great.
Yeah, I think that's the idea. And I know that'd give us an opportunity to reach out to a couple stakeholders that actually go through the process, maybe on our suggested changes to the script and whatnot. I see Margaret's hand.
I would love to be able to see proposed changes from both caucuses prior to the meeting time. It gives me time to think about it and find what's common, and if that's possible, or doesn't it.
I think that'd be very helpful. Do we want to say kind of an open invitation to members? I know that we all email Terry these things. So as you kind of get edits and ideas, would we be able to coordinate that way? Or we could say get everything to your co-chair. And I know that we co-chairs meet before the meeting and could kind of share notes and get everything back to the rest of the caucus at that point. I don't know what sounds like the best option for folks.
Why don't we just go through Terry? We want to give, with a deadline so they can continue moving forward.
So Scott, we meet on August 29th. So you can either email me or email the caucus, and then we can get together on August 29th at our co-chair meeting and finalize it then. How's that sound?
I think that sounds good to me.
I agree. It sounds good to me as well. I didn't hear in the commentary a lot of disagreement. You know, it sounded like it was just cleanup type stuff. So I think the need to route it through a caucus seems less important. And so, Terry, I'm sorry to give you more work to wrestle all of us, but thank you for being willing to do that.
Okay, yeah, sounds good, and I know it seems close. You know, there's a ton of really great work that's gone into this already, and we really appreciate that. So, any other questions or comments on that? Not seeing anything. I see the next on our list is review of the committee work plan.
Bobby, can you put that up on the screen? The work plan?
So I see a screen share of the draft committee work plan topics that we have up there. I'll give folks just a moment to review that or find it in their email and pull it up. And happy to take any questions or discussion. I see Sarah.
Thank you, Scott. I like how it's reworked and I think it makes sense. And I like how it's numbered, so we can reference specific numbers under bullets. But I don't know the best way to denote what we're actually focused on, what's in the works versus what's, you know, because numbering them makes me feel that that's the priority, and I'm not sure necessarily that's the case, except for the ones that we actively are working on. So I don't know if that makes sense or how to denote that better.
That's a good point. I think there's a couple things that would come to mind for me. I don't know if we have kind of a category of at the top of a, you know, currently in progress or something like that. Or another thing that we could do is as we're working on things in meetings, we could have specific highlight colors or something like that. Yellow is something that's been talked about in the last couple months, and green is something that is on the schedule for the next meeting or something like that. I mean, I think there's just kind of spitballing on that. I don't know if any of that sounds helpful, but
Yeah, color coding works. I also really like it when things get done and then we can like line through them, or, you know, with completion dates. Just as a working document, I'd like it to be a living document.
okay. Yeah, I think those are good points. I did see Tammy's hand go up, but then go down. I don't know if Sarah had addressed that question or.
I changed my mind. So I lowered
Okay.
my hand.
Any other comments on or questions about Sarah's feedback? It may be somewhat silly, but I know maybe if we switch to either ABC or Roman numerals or something, that may make it seem like less of a specific kind of priority instead of 1 through 10. I don't know if that helps address any of Sarah's concerns as well.
I think so, Scott, but can we just review what we're actually working on, maybe for highlight? My understanding is under the first bullet, workers access, number 1 and 2. And then overarching review, worker benefits, number 1, and then the legislative session preparation, 1 and 2. Is that consensus currently, or am I missing something that we're actively tackling?
So you're referring to what things we're currently working on chipping away at, as opposed to things really more on the back burner?
Yeah, it's currently on the extreme front burner. That was my understanding, but I just want to make sure I'm not missing that or.
Okay, I see Margaret's hand.
Right, Sarah, you seem like such an organized person. Do you have some ideas about how this might, how the document might, be the living document that you're envisioning, where we could see easily what it is we're currently working on and what dates we're looking at?
I mean, I think Scott's idea of highlighting, I mean, and then I think changing the numbers to some sort of ABC or Roman numerals, just to make sure, I don't want anyone to get the impression that this is the order we're tackling them, that we're doing it, throughout. But anything we're actively working on should be picked in a color. And then when completed, also a completed date with a line through would be helpful. And then, when we're reviewing this each year, we can then take those off and add new and, keep it active and living.
Sounds almost like a table with columns of actively working on, tabled, completed, something like that also might work.
I mean, I don't care the form. I don't mind this format as long as there's notes and someone's living it.
I think those are some great ideas. I know Sarah had asked as well as to everyone else's understanding of which topics we were actively working on. I do think that under the worker access, the number 1 and number 2 are things that we're actively working on. And examination of the overarching review of worker benefits, the examination of time loss. Anything else priority wise that folks?
I think the legislative session 1 and 2 also are very active, too.
Yes, that's a great point, as we are doing that this meeting, I guess, too. Any other feedback from folks? I see Ryan's hand.
Yeah, I'll just say I agree with Sarah. I think that's a great call out as far as listing completed items, ones we're working on, and crossing them off and dating that. I like that idea. So I just wanted to back her up on that.
So Scott, can I just summarize real quick? I can go ahead and highlight the ones that we're currently working on. I can either, make them green or change the numbering or something to indicate the ones that we are working on. Maybe red for the ones that aren't working on, and yellow, maybe the ones for the ones that are maybe not a priority. So maybe something along those lines.
I personally wouldn't highlight everything. I would just highlight the ones that are active.
Okay, good to know. Okay.
Yeah, maybe just a suggestion. Sarah, tell me what you think. Highlight the ones in green or something that are on deck, as in for the next meeting. We're going to be covering this, and then yellow for if we've covered it in the last 2 meetings or something like that, or are still actively working on it.
Sure.
Okay, all right.
And I'm open, I know my boss is actually colorblind, so I'm open to recommendations for ADA and other stuff like that on color selection for that would be accessible to everyone.
Okay.
Any other questions about the work plan? Not seeing any. Give it just another sec. I know we just scrolled down so folks can think about the rest of it. If there's nothing else, I know the next thing on the agenda is the review of the committee legislative checklist.
We put that up.
So we have that up. Terry, did you want to give it just a quick update on some of the changes that were made?
Sure, I went ahead and went through and made everything the same font. Also tried to put it in order after I saw the storyboard so that these questions would line up with the video. So it may be a little bit different than what we read previously. So I think that this will read well with the video. So those are the changes that I made. I don't think I took anything out. I don't think anything that there was some duplicate information in there, and I think that has been taken out. So I think that's everything.
And I see Tammy has a question.
Hi, I think it looks great, Terry. Good job. I think it looks wonderful. My only question is regarding number 8. When we had our in-person meeting a couple months ago, and I was talking with the small business ombudsman, they said they're still called ombudsman. They haven't changed their name to small business ombuds. So I'm wondering if, because it looks kind of funny on number 8, ombuds/ombuds. I don't know if we should change that to small business ombudsman and then / and ombuds, or if the small business ombudsman's office has now changed to ombuds as well. But just to be clear, I thought their name was still ombudsman.
I will check, Tammy. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you, Tammy. And I see Sarah has a hand.
Thank you, Scott. I believe it's still ombudsman, and that's how it's presented in the video. But my specific question is number 2. Does that go along with number 11? Because we're asking WCD to come in number 2 and number 11. I don't know if that's duplicative or if that's you're trying to get at something completely different on that one.
Oh.
Isn't the claims part done in the analysis? Or am I missing that?
You know, I'm not quite sure, Sarah. I need to go back and look at the draft before this one and make sure that I didn't cut something out or didn't miss anything. And go ahead, I can compare
Well,
that.
but claims potentially impacted, is that part of the analysis we get though? I'm asking, I don't know the answer.
Claims would be in the data. as well, but I'm not quite sure where this question came from, Sarah, so I need to go back and do a little research, so I'm sorry, I don't have that answer.
Oh, no, it's fine. It was just, it seemed, and then I wouldn't start it with for WCD. You know.
Okay.
I think it's part of the analysis they do, so just, I don't know, I think maybe it could go with number 11 and then keep it all succinctly in there. And do we need to spell out WCD just for people who don't?
Good
No.
point.
I'm really overall excited with this document, and I think it's going to be a great tool as is the video. So thank you for your work on it.
Thank you for that question, Sarah. I think that's a good question. Any other questions about it? The document and the order and the phrasing and all that? I wonder if we want to kind of table any action on this as well until we have the kind of final edits and suggestions of the script as well, so that we can make sure that those mesh well, especially if it sounds like they're all going to be sort of integrated into a single website to be presented to folks.
Scott, could we use this same methodology as the whiteboard? And if we have specific things, send them to Terry if they're not substantive, just more cleanup?
Yeah, that's what I was going to recommend, is kind of as you're going through the script and going through this, just kind of forward all of that, and we can just hopefully seal all this off in the one process and make some good progress here. Any other questions about that or comments? I do really much, very much appreciate the work put in by staff on these issues. I know other members have echoed the compliments that this is going to be really helpful for our work and the work of the stakeholders that we engage with as well. So thank you. So if there's nothing more on this, I see the next item is workday training issues.
I started laughing. I didn't mean to. It seems that we're getting some of these wrinkles figured out. Sarah did email me last week, Sarah Duckwell, and she said, or was it last week or 2 weeks ago? And I found the person at DAS to email, and she emailed me right back and said, Sarah should not receive any more of these emails. So my understanding is, Sarah, you're not receiving these emails about training anymore. Yay! Yay! We've got that resolved. So if you finish the training and you receive these emails, email me immediately. I will email DAS and they will take care of it. So hallelujah. Yay! We got that taken care of. So that's a big deal.
So I know from my end in regards to training, I have a report that's generated that has who has taken the trainings and who is still doing that. I know there's also issues with a couple of members. I think Scott, and pick on Scott, since your file was inadvertently obliterated and had to be rebuilt. I know some of you also need to set up your Workday account for access. So I have an email ready to go. The last step is that you need your what's called your OR number, which is assigned to employees, volunteers, and such. But for me, I need to make sure that I'm sending that information to you securely, because it's a personal identification item. So I'm going to check with Brittany. We're working on getting that taken care of my end, hopefully by early next week. So each of the members will receive an individual email. And this will include Sarah, though, because we need all the Sarah's complete their training, just to make sure that we're consistent with what we send out. That states where you're at with your training, your OR number in case you don't have it, and then instructions on how to set up your authentication to log in. And then also there is one single link that accesses all 3 of the trainings. So there's 2 or 3 depending on whether you're a reappointee or brand new. and all this. And I think in one case, like for Marcy, I believe Marcy doesn't need to do any of that because Marcy is appointed to, she's on more than one government appointed board, so. But you will get to see that early next week, and if there's any glitches, to the co-chairs, I'm working with Terry, we'll let you know if there's any glitches. But that is the main, the last step is really on my end, making sure that we have a secure way of delivering your personal information.
Great. Well, if we can tackle workday problems as a committee, we can do anything. Any questions about that one? It sounds like everybody's having an easier time with that now, or we've gotten some of the issues straightened out. So that's great to hear. And thank you again for staff on that. Not seeing anything. Next, we have upcoming meeting schedule with September 7th and October 5th. I see Tammy has a question.
I do have a question. And it's just very specific to me, sorry. But do you guys know if next month in September they are going to be appointing anyone to replace me on the committee?
Is my understanding. September days are later in September, so you won't get out of the September 7th meeting.
Oh, but I will.
Oh, you will?
I'm going to be in Zion. Hiking in
Oh,
Zion.
wow.
So I will not be here September 7th. And so I think today's my last meeting as a MLAC member, but I just wanted to find out if that was true or not before I order drinks. Okay, so I won't be here September 7th, and on October 5th, I'll just be a regular person.
I see a hand up from Patrick, who I assume is going to say what I was going to say as well, but I'll let Patrick go first.
Oh, okay, I'm sure, probably. Well, Tammy, I just wanted to recognize you if this is indeed your last meeting. It's I don't know, you have an extended period of time, I believe, that you serve far beyond 9 years. You don't want to stay one more year and make it 10 double digits, are you sure? Okay. Well, I just personally, as a member of the management caucus, appreciate your knowledge, the experience you brought when I was new to the committee. I think always having a question about everything and thoughtful ones, I really appreciate very, very much. I met you during COVID, and so it was a pleasure to meet you in person. You know, I feel like that's something different. I'm glad I got a chance to finally do that. And I hope you'll come back to one of the other meetings in the future just to see what's going on. So
Oh, probably.
Yeah.
Probably as an employer rep, I will. But anyway, thank you very much.
You bet. Thank you.
Yeah, and I want to chime in. That was pretty much exactly what I wanted to say. I know we, had all of the fun of being on MLAC and COVID together. So I did very much appreciate all your hard work through that, and the interim meetings and kind of the reboot into MLAC 2.0. And I think that you were, a critical part of that. And I really appreciate that. And thank you for all your work. And I know it's not been easy.
Anyway, thanks for the kind words, you guys. You're very welcome, but we can move on.
Thank you, Tammy. We appreciate you.
So it sounds like September 7th and then October 5th for being our in-person meeting. I checked that should work for my schedule. I'm seeing some head nods as well. Any other questions, comments about that?
Just, sorry, quickly. I know we're not there in January, and those are probably just tentative. I love invites as they come out. So, when they hit my calendar, I just accept them. So if we could continue that methodology, Terry, it would be appreciated. Thank you.
Great point, Sarah. I know that my schedule fills up quickly, so it's always nice to have my little reminder that I'm already booked. And I see Patrick took himself off mute too.
I just wanted to comment that I enjoy the Outlook invitations as well, and I have one for the October 5th meeting. I went and I clicked on it to see if it said in person. It didn't, so I added that myself. So I don't know if you want to maybe just update the invitation to say that it is one where caucus members are encouraged to attend in person.
Barbara, did Brittany do that one?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right, we will get it updated.
Great. Well, thank you everyone for your time and participation. It looks like we'll have almost an hour back.